All right, let's get going. All right, we'll start from the start. Juan, Mr. De Cruz, welcome. So thanks for sending your track again, bro. Jamie, hi, bro. Okay. So let's take a listen to Cruise. Okay, so I've got some notes here where available. Feeling Tonight. It's in the minimal deep sound that he's looking to do. Maybe he could add a vocal, but he's not sure. So let us know in the chat what you guys think about that. And can I recommend a label? Yeah, send it now, bro, and I'll download it. Can you call it the same thing, or don't? Yeah, just send it now, and I'll rename it. Okay, let's go. So first off, there's some crazy sub frequencies in this track, dude. Like, look at this on the meter here. Like, there's something hitting at like around 15 hertz. Like, get that shit out of there. You know, you're never gonna be able to recreate that on a sound system. So all it's going to do is just trigger the limiters, and like it's just going to kind of fuck up the mix and the mastering of your track. So you know, this is your subs. This is your subs here. Like, anything down there, it's like, it's just too much. So that would be the first thing. Like, on this intro, like, it's cool, but I would like a couple of little percussions. It's a bit loopy, just, you know, something happening every kind of 4 or 8 bars, just to kind of keep it interesting. You've got these kind of like little glitchy sounds, but they're also a little bit repetitive as well. They're kind of like, so having them change up as you go along. So one thing you can do is, like, when you're actually producing these things, you can kind of like, whatever effect you're using to make that happen, like, record yourself tweaking it live, make a 5-minute recording of it, and then just take out little bits and like put them throughout the track. You can do the same thing with, like, especially on a track like this, you know, with, if you're going to add a vocal, like you said, like, tweak the shit out of the vocal, like, put some effects on it, record that, and then just take little bits out of it to create like effects and fills, and, you know, like, and it's fun, you know, that's producing. Nice kind of chord pads, I really like that. That I don't know what you call it, like that synth that just came in there, it's cool, but it sounds a bit dry for the rest of the track. Like it just kind of stands out a little bit too much on top. If you kind of put some pan, maybe some delay and a bit more reverb, kind of put it a bit more in the back, I think it would like have the same effect, but it would just feel like a bit more like it's part of the track. Same thing with that sound, bro. Like, it's the same. It's repeating. Like, because the thing is, like, with this type of music, like, it's minimal. You know, the hint is in the name, so you need to work every element. Have it. You can't just have shit just sitting there stagnant. Like, you've got to have it changing. Be creative. Like go the extra mile. And it sounds cheesy as fuck, but just like go the extra mile. Like make these things, like every element interesting, changing, evolving. It doesn't have to be like over the top, because some of these elements are not the main focus of the track. But if they're kind of, if they're like, if they're changing, I think it's important. This kind of vocodary sounding synth, like it sounds like Daft Punk or something. It's a really, really dope sound. But in my opinion, it's not right for the track. Like I think you'd be better off with like someone else agreed in the chat that you'd be better off with like just a regular vocal, like you suggested. This is really cool, but I think it's like a little bit left field for the track. You could, maybe if it was like a layer in the background and it had a bit more reverb, a bit more sidechain, and kind of like was just floating in the background, it might be cool. But I feel like the way it comes in here in your face, it doesn't quite gel with the vibe. It was quite unexpected. The pattern of the notes is cool though. Like it's it works with the beat and works with the groove. So I think you could just try some different sounds, something that fits in there a bit more with the groove. Yeah, cool. I think you've like nailed the foundation of the track, which is dope. The bass sounds good. The drums and the texture sound good. Apart from that crazy one sub thing that you've got going on, but that's an easy fix. Just low cut it, or take it out if it doesn't need to be there. But I would say like automate things, like keep things evolving, and then it needs a hook, it's a cool groove, and congrats on getting the arrangement done, because that's where a lot of people kind of fall down with it. But I think, definitely a vocal or something, and that gives it a bit more, that makes it kind of memorable. Like what's going to stick in people's head about it, It's a cool groove. If it had something a little bit more, I'd play it in like a warm-up set or something, But yeah, just a few little things to do, and I think you've got yourself a cool track there for sure. Production-wise, it's sounding good, man. It's sounding good. Solid. And the mix down sounds cool. Yeah. Just get that kind of signature sound in there. All right. Mark Holmes. All right, let's start from the start. To Cruz, if you listen to Mark's track here, like I think I said at the start, like it lacked like a couple of little percussions or just something with the groove. It was like I know it's minimal, but if you listen to Mark's track, it feels like it's kind of rolling a little bit more, and kind of, which keeps it interesting, keeps it moving. Mark, this is really fucking good, bro. I kind of forgot that I was supposed to be giving feedback on it because I was just getting into the tune and listening. It's one thing I will say is, like, you've already introduced a lot by this point. It not necessarily a bad thing, just I feel like it's always let's see what happens in the rest of the track, but I think it's always worth kind of sending something back, holding something back, you know. Really cool stuff, Mark. Like, you fucking nailed this, bro. It's sick. There's, like, I mean, this could be easily released. There's just a couple of little things that, for me, you could change to, I think, make it slightly more functional. So in the first break, right, it drops away to... All I wanna do is make you move. I feel like that's too much of a drop down in intensity. Like, I think that for this first break, this one is a bit more, is almost more dramatic than this one. I would keep the keep some elements from the beat going. And then this build-up is pretty intense for this part of the track. I just feel like this could kind of be a bit of a smoother transition. It's not bad, but I can see this being a little bit awkward on the dance floor unless it's like peak time, full club, and everyone's kind of screaming. And then the thing with that is you've already done that, so then what are you going to do here? So here I thought I would cut the piano there. So if you just drop this to just the vocal at this point, it's gonna like create a real moment, where just the vocals happening. So take out all those pianos, right? Just have the vocal playing, and then in like from like bar 121, like bring in a sub bass, like a Reese bass or something. That's gonna so in the club, that's just gonna add this fucking drama, and people are gonna go, yeah. Then build the piano up from here. I think tracks like, what was that big one that Left Wing Cody had a couple of years ago? I can't remember, but like that. I think they do that in that track. It's kind of like formulaic maybe, but it works. People go crazy, and so I think in these breaks, the way that you could improve this track is have these breaks transition the energy and the emotion a bit better. Yeah. The other thing, and I think this is your style, but a couple of these sounds are a little bit dated, in my opinion. I know that you're into much more housey stuff, but it's like this could be like a really big track. It's really well made. It works really well, but I think some of those more kind of like disco-y or old school kind of sounds could hold some labels back from signing it. Yeah. Anyway, so but that's totally down to your artistic license on it, right? So hopefully that's helpful, bro. Yeah, I feel it. Left Wing Cody. Thanks, Dickie. Okay. So Kakura Kaki. So they've had a bit of trouble. They're a duo from the UK, by the way. They've had a bit of trouble mixing this one. The ARP is in a nasally region, and it feels like it might overshadow the tune a bit, but when they turn it down in the mix, it loses the vibe and warmth. So let's see. All right, there's another one. This is sick. The ARP, like, yeah, it's going from the start. It's it's a little bit static. Like, maybe you could filter it or something, like have it like cut out some of the lows, or just make it a bit thinner. One thing you can do, like with EQ8, is like, so let's chuck this on. See, so it's like this, but imagine that it's just on the ARP, right? And then you can automate this scale here. And that seems to not be working. Fucking weird. Okay, I did that the other day, but maybe I'm doing something wrong right now. What I was trying to say with that is, like, basically using the scale like a dry wet knob. So like you've got a filter on it. I'll figure out how to do it and email you. Sorry about that. But so you've got so it's basically just a bit more hidden, and then you're kind of revealing it in here, because it's quite intense and it stays quite the same throughout the track. That's not like to say, you've got other elements in there which are kind of like the leading elements of the track, so it's kind of more like a rhythm or groove type thing. But I think you could just create a bit more interest in this kind of intro section, and maybe do it in the breaks and stuff as well. Yeah. But like, this is sick, man. I love the atmosphere. I love the vibe of it. I could keep listening to this all day. It's fucking great. I don't think, like, so your concerns about the ARP, I don't think that it's like causing a problem, like you were saying. But yeah, you could like play with it, like I was saying. It's pissing me off now. I'm gonna figure that out. I literally did it on something yesterday. I'm gonna figure that out and respond to your email and tell you how to do it. But just having basically, yeah, like a bandpass kind of thing, and then opening it up. So let's get this one going. Nelson. Right, okay. Bro, give your tracks a name. Like, I get it. I've done this like date thing before, but like, how are you going to find this in a year or something, you know? Just give them a name. It creates like an emotional attachment. It allows you to kind of find it easier, you know? Yeah, totally. I totally recommend that. Anyway, so this was inspired by the How to Make Deep House tutorial I did. How's the arrangement? Do I think the tension works well here? And how's the sound design? So let's have a listen. Right, so there's a couple of things here, like this like bass line, it's in the whole way from the start, you know. It's too much to the same, like the whole way through. You need to, like, because you're asking about tension and release, like it needs to be kind of like introduced and then have like, you know, so it kind of brought up, because it feels like it's there from the start, you know, like it's, I imagine it's because the rest of the elements you've got are really cool. I think it's working well. I would maybe, just filter that bass in a bit more, filter in the tops of it a bit more, and then you've kind of got, by using a filter on it, you've got another element to play with there, so you can kind of use that to create tension and release, like you were asking about. Hey, all the people that are sending tracks now, I appreciate it, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get through all of them. Like I posted in Patreon at least a couple of weeks ago, so and anyone whose tracks I missed, I'm really sorry. I have had like crazy flu for the last couple of weeks. It's been a bit shit. So we'll try and get through as many as we can, but otherwise we'll try and maybe we'll do it next month again, and everyone get your tracks in a bit sooner, guys. All right, let's keep going with this. there's something here that just happened a bit strange. Something just jumped out at me, like. I think that just the way that you've increased that snare right at the last minute, like you should probably increase it over the space of like a bar or something. So, okay, in terms of your sound design, I think you've got some really cool sounds in there, and I love all the like atmospheric bits and the little kind of textures that you've got going on. Really nice. That kind of like bass lead sound that starts at the start, and I guess it's probably going right to the end. Yeah. It needs to change a bit, man. It needs, like, if it's going to be such a big part of the track, it needs a bit more character. It needs a bit more. Something needs to happen to it. You know, if you can have like a bass that goes the whole way through and is pretty static, but if you're going to do that, I would recommend like cutting out a lot of the mids and stuff, and then it's just like a sub and kind of part of the groove. When you've got, if you think about it like a movie, right? That's kind of like one of your main characters, and it's like your main character is in every scene of the movie, but they're just kind of standing there. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but yeah. I mean, it's cool, the lead bass thing, but just work it a bit more. And I think and like do the same thing with all your elements, all your synths. You know, add some reverb, add some delay. You know, kind of, yeah, get it going. Get it changing. You know, and think about like in these transitions here, you can send things to like a reverb or send them to delays, and you know, think about it like people need a hint that something's coming, you know. So you can create anticipation for that drop or that break or whatever by working the elements within your track, and that's going to kind of fix your concerns about the tension and release, because that's going to create it. So, you know, open filter cutoffs, send to delays, send to reverbs, all that kind of stuff. It works. But I think the fact you've got the foundation of a really cool track there for sure. All right. Sorry, Luca Penza every day, and he's been struggling with mixing the track, especially the bass. That's that's how it happens. Be nice, guys. Give him some kind words in the chat. He's a bit anxious to have a lot of people listening to his track. So, I mean, from the length of the track, it's somewhere between, say, a extended DJ mix and a radio version, but I don't think you intended for this to be like a radio version. But there's kind of no intro, like everything starts from the start. And so I'm working on the assumption that this is a DJ mix, right? So if you look at Mark's track, for example, you know, everything's kind of slowly building in here until there's like a first break, right? Because no one's going to hear the first minute of your track, bro. So like so imagine that like it's being mixed in. Let's just imagine that. You know, all the stuff that you've done before and all the things you've added are kind of like not pointless, but you know, it's like it's not you're giving away the whole game before the game's even started. If you know what I mean. Like, yeah, the intro should be an intro. It's like, but at that in saying that, you still want to keep this like somehow interesting, but you don't need to bring in the bass line from the first beat. In fact, like for a DJ, that's kind of annoying, because then you can get like, when you're mixing this track in, you can kind of get clashes with the bass line from the last track, that type of thing. And then the vocal, bro, like, you know, that's like the selling point of your track, right? You don't want to give it away before you need to. So, you know, bring the vocal in like here. So like, I was going to say this element here, this kind of like staccato lead or pluck, whatever. It's a bit high. It's a bit in the front of the mix. It's got it's a bit too bright so it's a bit loud and it's a bit bright for my taste. Maybe you could put some sidechain on it and kind of duck it against the kick, which will sit it in the track a bit more. Turn the volume down. But you can notice that it's like really, that point is really accentuated here when it comes out, because you're like, whoa, where's it gone? Like I think this, without that element, the groove works better, in my opinion. It's not to say that the element's bad or whatever, but it's like I think it just needs to be mixed into the track. It needs to be part of the track, not kind of sitting on top of the track. A good way to balance things like that, what I do with things like that is I get the foundation of the track when I'm mixing, I get that right, and then I kind of bring in the main elements in the order of importance, and I'll do that basically like turn the volume right down and use the up and down arrows on my keyboard to just bring in the volume without looking. So I'm just listening to it and then I get it to until it feels right in the track. You know what I mean? That way you kind of like, I think if you like look at the value and then you go like, oh, I've turned it down 5 dB, that's too much. But it's not. It doesn't matter how many dB you turn it down or turn it up. It's about how it sounds, you know. So that's my approach to doing that. I've done a video on it, so have a look on the channel. But bro, there's a really cool vibe in the track. Let's take a listen to the break, and I think it's just like some issues with the mixing. The bass I wouldn't say is too much of a problem. It sounds about right. So like this little break here was really cool. Sounded really clean and and interesting. I would say like these like, so then you bring in this like other staccato pattern here. I mean, the track is quite deep, and I don't think you need these to be honest. Like, I think they're kind of adding this layer of intensity that isn't really necessary for the track. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? But yeah, like you've got a really cool vibe going here, man. I'll just experiment with taking those elements out, or maybe mixing them a bit lower. And also from an arrangement perspective, like it's maybe a bit late to bring in such a significantly different element. You can't tell if it's actually like just a new pattern of the same element or not, but I would say if you're gonna make a switch up like that, you probably want to do it here or something. But like really, yeah, the vibe sounds cool. I think you've got something that you can definitely work with and make a really cool track out of there. Someone asked in the chat before what headphones I'm using. They're Sennheiser HD 650, I think. Yeah, HD 650. Okay, where are we? This is really cool, man. They're really well made. All the like sounds are working really good. It was a really nice surprise when this what do you call it, like organ bass kind of sound comes in here. It really like uplifts the track and kind of, but it also like works perfectly with the track. You know, it's kind of like from the same palette of sounds. This is something that I talk about in some of my videos. Is like, yeah, if you think about like the sounds that you're putting into a track as like a palette, like, and that's kind of like part of what can go into like making a signature sound for yourself, which you've clearly got here. You know, like this is dope, man. You've got your really, I think you're hitting the point of what you're trying to get from the track. You know, it sounds like you want it to sound. I feel. One thing I would say is like you've got there's quite a few hats kind of happening in the side, like kind of, which are giving like groove and interest, but it sounds maybe a bit cluttered. And that could be a mixing thing, that they're too high in the mix. But also you could try like EQing them a bit so they're like, because you've got this kind of main open hat. Yeah, I think the ones on the side, like they could be like have a little bit less body, and it would help them to feel a bit more floaty, and that kind of then puts a bit more emphasis on the core groove of the track. But yeah, I mean, this is quite nitpicky kind of advice. Like, it sounds dope, bro. This organ bass also, like, it's getting a bit stale. Like, I think you could play with it a bit more. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just like giving it a bit of movement so that it's kind of changing somehow. Like, and that, like, again, that's like same with the hats. Like, it's not gonna make or break the track, but these are just like quite fine details, I think, that could be improved. You know, it's dope, bro. Like, you could find loads of labels to release that right now. It'd probably do pretty well on TrackSource. It's good stuff. Okay. Now this was a later submission. Let's see if... Cool. So I'm just like putting a limiter on all of these to get them to a equal kind of volume, equal loudness. Okay, first thing, like, you don't need this, a lot going on here. You don't need all that stuff going on there, bro. Like, the pad, the kind of, there's like some bird sounds, there's quite a lot of percussion. Like, you could strip out a lot of that percussion, bring that pad down, and then you've got like already enough ammo for your whole intro section. You know, like, you can bring in the percussion, and by that I mean like the congas or bongos or whatever, like here. Bring the pad in slowly, build it up in volume, do some filtering on it, and then what's going to happen? Sorry, a bit tongue-tied there. What that's going to allow to happen in the track is that this like atmosphere, this cool, I can already hear it, like there's kind of like some bird sounds and stuff. That's going to be able to have its moment. And when someone's mixing the track in, that's going to kind of, that atmosphere that you're creating is going to be the thing that's presenting itself into the next track, into the previous track, you know. So this pad that's been going since the start, it's taking up way too much space, man. It's like making the mix muddy. It's like, it kind of makes the track feel heavy when the vibe of the track is that it should feel light and kind of floaty. That's in my opinion. You know, it's your track. You know what you're going for, but that's what I feel like. I think like take out some of the low end, take it down in volume, maybe spread it out to the sides, have it moving around a little bit more. Side chain it subtly. You don't want it like pumping, but yeah. Like I've got, so Felipe Simo is going to be the last track that I'm adding here, man, guys. Okay, let's go. Yeah, man, this track is really cool. I really am digging it. That pad is just killing it for me, bro. I want to hear the elements. I want to hear I want to hear what the other things, but it's just like, I don't know. It feels like this kind of like cloud over everything. I don't know. Experiment with taking that out, man, or just choose a different sound. Take it lower in the mix. I don't know, but you've got some really. The thing is, there's a lot of detail in here, and it's kind of hard to hear it with when it's being masked like that. But really cool track. That would fit into some of my sets for sure. But as I've said, there's one element that would just stop me from playing it at all, because it doesn't the track doesn't, with that element, the track doesn't kind of meet its purpose, what I feel like its purpose would be. So really good. But I think this is, so don't get me wrong, I do things like this all the time in my tracks. And it can be quite hard to get perspective on them when it's your own track. And so what I will do is, like, I'll finish a track and I put it in a folder, put it to one side, and I try to not have it on my phone, not listen to it for like a week or 2 weeks, get some distance from it, so get some perspective, and then when you listen to it, listen back to it, you can kind of be objective about it, and you can hear it as though you're hearing it for the first time. And I think that's really important. Like, there's a tendency when you're working on a track and to get really excited about it, and you've kind of heard it so much that you're not noticing the flaws with it anymore. And that can be, so yeah, like for sending out demos and that kind of thing, it can really be beneficial to like leave it for a little bit and like get some distance from it, and you can hear back and go like, oh, there's something in there that I don't feel is quite working. Cretch, the info is on Patreon, Matt, but the track submissions are closed. Okay, let's just check this. Let's have a listen. You could build this up again, like it starts with too much stuff, I think. Like, you could, like, I imagine this is going to be, so I reckon this could be the intro here, man. And then you can build into having these kind of drums and stuff, because it's obviously it's a breakbeat beat, and I think this kind of implies that it's going to be a 4/4 house track. Nice percussion and stuff there. I really like it. Sorry, fucking hell. This is why it's not good to send tracks in the middle of the fucking stream, guys. Alright, sorry about that, Dickie bro. Let's rewind. Man, this has got a really cool vibe, but some of these drums, like, it sounds like it's been mixed in a fucking bathroom. Like, are you? Because you send me like videos on Instagram and stuff of the tracks you're working on, which is cool, but I can't really hear them. I can't give proper feedback on the mix and that kind of thing. And it's always like a video of your laptop screen. Are you working on your laptop speakers, or are you using headphones? Or because it sounds to me like I used to work in a studio that had like no acoustic treatment or anything like that, and things would sound fine there, but then I'd play them somewhere else and they'd sound all like kind of crazy and messy because I couldn't get a good handle on like whether, you know, how loud things should be, or if the low end was good or not. And the other thing is like it affects, like, if you're working in an untreated room, it affects like the way you choose sounds and the way you hear everything. Like, this is a fucking vibe, man. All the stuff that you send me is like totally a vibe, but I think the foundation of it, you need this really solid foundation. The kick and bass and stuff needs to be like bang on. So I don't know. If that advice stands for anybody, man. If you need to be able to hear what you're doing. So headphones are sick. I worked on headphones for a long time, but you need like decent headphones. A lot of people work on Sennheiser HD25s. I reckon they're shit, in my opinion. I used to use Beyerdynamic 880s, which are, so they've got 770, 880, and 990. And I can't remember whether it's the 770 or the 990, which is one's open, one's closed, and the 880 is like kind of semi-open. So that's kind of the best like middle ground, like closed. You don't get as nice a sound, but then you don't have like the ambient sound from around you. So I think I had the 880s, and these headphones are open, but I'm in a treated studio here. So yeah, I think I'm sure that, give some recommendations in the chat of like which headphones everyone recommends, or there's a million videos or blog posts. Hey, HD25s, don't throw them in the bin, man. They're fucking sick. I use them for DJing. They're great for that. But like the bass is like really, the bass and the highs are like really pumped up on them. They're not at all a flat responsive curve. So yeah, I mean, let's chat on Instagram, and there's definitely a way that I can help you with your tracks a bit more. So let's talk. All right, Santiago, idea 432. All right. Okay. I'm just getting an idea of the loudness here. Too loud. All right. So with such a solid kick, I think like you need some kind of groove element in there. Like it can just be like one bongo or one conga hit like every bar or every 2 bars, but it needs something to kind of help the groove rolling. It feels a bit too robotic in my opinion, with that like really heavy kick. I imagine it's, yeah, you know, like it's quite a long kick. It's also got a crazy transient on it. Like, yeah, you need to kind of, I would compress that, like to take that transient off. You need to pump up the body of the kick a bit more, I think. I'm not sure if it's layered or if that's the kick, or maybe you're adding too much compression and you're squashing the body and pumping up the transient too much. And there's also a kind of pad in there that sounds a bit awkward. Like I feel like if it was maybe down an octave, it would be a bit nicer. Spread it out wide, kind of make it floaty, rather than, it's kind of like, it sounds like a test tone for something. Right, I'm going to do something here. Let's see if I can make this work. This, like that bass is just so loud, dude. Like it just overpowers the track. So what is this, 124? Okay. So, where were we? Here, and the bass is playing. And the kick's not playing. Okay. So let's loop that. And add some sidechain. Then turn this down 10 dB. See how like that sounds like the bass should be working with the kick. Like you can see it in the waveform here. Your bass is like several dB louder than your kick, so it's just like squashing the mix and kind of killing everything. You've got like a cool groove going on here, and it's like, but yeah, there's just some kind of like fundamental problems with the mix that are taking away from it. Again, I would say it sounds like potentially you're not writing in an ideal environment, an ideal listening environment. Because the vocal and stuff that you've got going on, there's a vibe, man. It's cool. Let's have a listen to this build up. I think, dude, you've got a really cool vibe going on here. Sort out some of the mix issues that I've pointed out, like the kick and the bass. You know, like that's the foundation of your track. You need to have that shit nailed down, because you've got like a really cool idea for a track here. I think a few of the everything seems to be a bit heavy-handed, like some of these snare rolls and the build-ups and stuff, and these like fills, they're a bit in your face. So like I think what you can do with it's mainly a mixing thing, you know. It's not even like mixing, it's balancing, because it's a chicken and egg kind of game there. But like like when I do mixes for clients, I take a track that sounds kind of like this and make it sound like a track that is released on Beatport, you know. Then it comes down to, is the idea good enough? But you kind of need to, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, it's hard to judge whether the idea is strong enough to stand up if the mix isn't at a kind of baseline level. So yeah, I think I've got a video on YouTube about how to balance your kick and bass and how to balance a mix. So go check those out, have a watch, and go back to it. And then once you've kind of got things sounding, you know, roughly like, use reference tracks, man. Like, listen to how loud their kick is compared to their bass. Get that going on, and then you can kind of like judge the idea of your track. But it's got a cool vibe. It's got a cool vibe. I like where you're going with it. I think the execution of the basics needs to be a bit more on point. But I don't know how long you've been producing for, man. You could have been producing for a year, or I don't know. It sounds like I like the vibe you're going for. All right. Moving on. James Stark. Jamie? Is that right? Okay, let's have a listen. Okay, I need to check the loudness here. These late submissions are fucking me up, guys. I think it's going to be loud.
I wanna be right by your side, babe. You're all I need, all that I had.
Okay, let's go.
Gotta get you out of my mind, and I don't know what you want from me. Your love's magnetic, can't release it. Say that you just wanna set me free, but all I know. But all I know is I want you by my side.
So, I mean, you've got quite a lot of limiting on here, which is like pushing the volume of things up. But that vocal is just too loud for the mix. Like, you're going for like this poppy kind of vibe where you want the vocal to be in your face, but this sounds like it's like inside my head. And then the thing that happens there is like you're creating this intensity with the super loud vocal, and then when it drops, because the vocal's been so loud, you expect the bass to be like, poof, but it does the opposite of what you're trying to do with this. Right, so I think, so first of all, I mean, I'm not, it's long for a like radio Spotify edit, but it's got an arrangement of like a radio Spotify kind of track. It doesn't start like a club track. So I would I would either give it like a proper DJ intro, and then make it, for this kind of, Spinnin records, you've said, is a good reference. So yeah, I mean, you could have a track on Spinnin that's 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. That's a extended mix, but you want to structure it like that, I think. And then if it's going to be like the Spotify edit, you probably want that to be 2.5 minutes, right? So just think about the arrangement, use a reference, look at what other artists on the label are doing, how it's structured, and maybe, like when I'm working with clients on this kind of music, I will write I'll write the radio mix first, the Spotify mix first, and then we will take that and add in an intro and an outro to make a DJ edit, right? In this kind of context, it makes more sense to do it that way. In terms of your beat, I think it sounds a bit too minimal, like it's a bit stripped back. Your bass is really, really in front, and everything's quite dry sounding, and those hats are like really in the back. There's not really a lot of power in the groove here, which is like emphasizing my point from the start, where when it drops it feels a bit underwhelming because the vocal's been so in your face, and then the power's kind of gone, right? Also, your kick is really boxy kind of sounding. It sounds like it sounds like someone's like banging a cardboard box, which I think is where the term boxy comes from. So I would look at some of your sound selection. I think you said you're using Spinnin records. I think Spinnin records make some sample packs. Grab some of that stuff.
I want you by my side.
Like it ticks all the boxes. I think it's another one where like the idea and the theme is cool and it works, but the foundation of the track isn't quite up to the level of the idea. Like you've got this big powerful vocal, and then when it drops it's kind of like so I mean, just work on that foundation, update your drums and maybe a bit of a mix on the bass, and then see if that can like improve the feeling. You always want to be referencing that. Like you can kind of like sit back, close your eyes or whatever, and listen to these transitions, and does it feel like you want it to feel? Does it create the excitement that you want to create? And if it doesn't, then it's a matter of looking at why.
By my side.
But yeah, I think like the good thing there is that, and it's not like an insignificant good thing, it's like a really good thing, you've got a strong idea, you've got a strong presence for the track, so that's like half the battle. You can have a track that's like really, really well executed and has a average idea, and it's not going to be a cool track, so I think you're in a really good position. You just need to go like take a step back and work on the foundation of your track, man. All right, lights down. Who was this? This was from my boy Felipe Simo. Okay. Now we're going to need some limiting on this bad boy. Alright. Why is that vocal playing at the start? You know, like bring it in here, you know, or like filter it in here, but like it doesn't need to play from the first beat. Alright, man. So, yeah, there's some kind of issues with the arrangement, or the like, kind of the flow of the track. Like, you're just given so much away at the start that it's like you're kind of adding more and more and more as you go along, but it's not kind of adding to the track because you've got everything you need for the track here. Like, you don't, yeah. So just by not bringing the vocal in, bring a hi-hat in earlier, like than here, because that's going to be a bit weird just when you mix it in, like that there's no hi-hats in the track. But then, yeah, bring in the vocal like after a minute, or like have it like, you know, play a bit drop out the kick here, bring in the vocal, filter it up, take out the vocal. Then, every one of these little mini breaks, you could kind of tease the vocal back in with some delay, whatever, and then you kind of like filter it back in up here, So then you're just kind of playing with the elements and kind of, you don't have to have 1,000 elements in a track, and you don't, because then what you're doing is you're bringing in this other vocal, and then you're looping up that vocal, making it play more and more and more, and it's just kind of it's unnecessary. Because the reason I understand why you're doing it, because you've kind of arranged it from bar one, and you're adding things and you're getting bored. A really great tip for arranging is start with this part of the track, get that going, and then work back. Make like the middle section and the kind of the section after the drop, and then do the intro and the outro last, and then you just kind of need to fill in the gaps, right? And because this is what your track's about. So if I'm in A&R playing a demo you've sent me, that's how much an A&R will listen to this track, unless they hear it and go like, holy shit, this is a bomb. This foundation, this body of your track, this kind of basic part of your track is good. I don't think you need all this other extra stuff. You just need to work with the more simplistic parts of it and kind of make them stand out through the production, through the arrangement, because you kind of you're adding more and more and more layers to it, which is diluting the foundation of the track, in my opinion anyway. One thing I will say about the bass, like when it comes in, I think like maybe pulling back the cutoff a bit, and if you want it to, so have it so it's like a little bit darker, then you can open it up if you want to. Maybe have a little bit more envelope. So pull out the cutoff, add a bit more envelope, and then it's just gonna sound a bit more punchy, I think. Yeah, man, like in my opinion, this is a cool track. The rest of it is like not adding to the track, in my opinion. So I think you've got really like the potential for a dope club record that people will play here. All right. And we've got one more from Crimson. Let me well, this won't need a limiter. Okay. Let's go. well, you win. Sick, bro. Love it. Really, really cool. To be honest, I think this is, from my opinion, this is like a style you're much more suited to than, say, the EP you just did on 42 degrees. I like this deeper sound for you. Like I think it sounds more natural. Don't get me wrong. Like your EP on 42 degrees was well made and like cool club cuts, but this feels a bit more unique. The vocal, I've actually done a track with the same vocal. I can't remember the sample pack. I won't put you on blast for that. But yeah, I mean, I think the reason I never released the track that I did is because the vocal. I think it's a thing with sample pack vocals. It's like, you put it out there, and then next week someone else puts a track out there with the same vocal. I mean, fuck you. You talk to Oliver Wickham, man. Get a vocal from him for this. You've worked with him before. That doing that is going to elevate the track. Or I remember who the vocalist of the pack is, and actually, you could write to her management, get a vocal that is like bespoke for your track, but from the same vocalist. You're probably going to have to pay €500. Actually, I think, sorry about my squeaky chair, by the way, guys, but I think we contacted her. I think £500. You'll be able to get an original vocal from the same vocalist for this track, which would be dope, and you'd hope. I think she's a professional session vocalist as well, so you'd hope she's going to be able to like nail it, One thing I would say, criticism, it's not quite the right word, but maybe a piece of advice, I would say this drop here, it kind of goes a bit far with the creating anticipation. Like, I always try to think of these things like on a dance floor, like how's that going to work? I sent some demos to Oliver Shoreys for Pracht, and I had like some breaks like this, and he was like, man, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this track when I play it to a crowd? Everyone's just going to be standing there going like, what the fuck? And all it is just like keep a hi-hat in, or keep the kick drum in, like really filtered out, or keep the bass in, and then when you take that out, then you have your kind of moment of silence here, and then that creates that anticipation. Or you do it in reverse, like you kind of build up to the break, then you have a section where it's like there's no low end, there's no drums, there's just the vocal, and then you kind of build it up again. But I think this is a bit too much. It works from like a listening standpoint for sure, but from a functional standpoint in terms of club music, I think that's going to create an awkward moment in a club. But the way that you've brought that back in there with the piano, fucking sick. Like, that's going to create a sick moment in a club. But I think by the time you get to do that, you might have lost people's interest. I don't know. Depends how good the pills are. a bit more going on and the break's not as long, I think it works more. The other thing was like you're bringing in a little bit of stuff here in the DJ intro that I like the atmosphere that you've got with having the one synth in there from the start, but I think the other ones you could kind of tease them in here. This is just being super nitpicky. Like, the track's sick. I'd totally play it as it is. I'd probably just have another track where I was mixing in a little bit in this break, but yeah, sick, man. I love it. If you work on the break and send me a copy, and I'll definitely play it if Germany ever opens up and has gigs, or whatever, next time I'm outside of Germany, outside of Europe. Alright, last one for the day, guys. Last one for the day. Evie? Yeah, I mean, fix it is probably a bit is a bit of an overstatement. I think, like, it doesn't need to be fixed at all. It's dope, I'm just trying to give you some perspective that could help it be more functional. Let's say that. Fuck off. Okay. All right. Let's go. So what happened here is, like, I wanted the kick drum to drop in there, but you can basically do this whole thing, create the same amount of anticipation. If you want to do it here after 16 bars, just extend this intro and have this bit play here. You don't need this big pad to come in because it's kind of too early in the track. And then, the way I like to think of this stuff is like ammunition. Then you've got ammunition to use again and kind of like create that moment again. Because that would be cool. You could do that. Maybe you use it again here, but you could use that element in a break that happens later in the track. Because the reason I say this is, like, you want your music to be concise. You want it to be like condensed down to the minimum amount of ideas that you need for the track, the minimum amount of elements. That doesn't mean that it needs to be like simplistic. You want to work those ideas and work them hard to make it like interesting, make it sound like it's more than it actually is. But you want to introduce new elements sparingly. Every element should be playing a part to the track. So, sorry, that said, let's get back to it. That pad thing's also a bit loud in the mix. I think that kind of like, I don't know, is a pad or a lead, or I think it's unnecessary. And you've got, for my taste, you've got quite a bit too much sidechain on it. One thing that I can recommend doing is like having a sidechain and then putting a delay after it. So it kind of like just helps to mellow out the effect of the sidechain. Or like if you're using something like LFO tool, I think I said this earlier, but maybe you weren't on the stream. You've got this split function, right, where it'll just below this frequency which you specify here is where the sidechaining will happen. Everything above won't be sidechained. So you're taking away the subs, but you're leaving the kind of mids and tops intact. So it can just create a bit more of a subtle effect on the sidechaining. But I don't think you need it there, because there's some subtle elements of the track, this kind of like really nice warm bass sound that's getting like overshadowed by this really loud pad. Much cleaner here without that lead sound, I think. Everything's a bit more punchy, and everything's a bit more kind of punchy, and it feels like the track's a bit more open. Really nice. See this pad here, I think you're using it somewhere else. That's really cool, and like it fits perfectly for the kind of aesthetic of the type of music you're trying to do here. One thing I would say about these like chord stabs, I think they could be filtered a little bit, and then you can like open it up towards the end. I like the way that you've made a change by just changing the pattern, just making the stabs less frequent. It works well. Like I think I was saying this on a few tracks, like you don't need to do crazy stuff or add in loads of new elements. Just work the elements that you've got, play a different pattern, have a simplified version and a more complicated version. You do that over your hats, your percussion, your 2 or 3 main synth sounds, your vocal. You don't need like then there's some new crazy thing happening. Sorry, I just want to point out the little rant about using the elements in the track, I'm saying that you've done that really well here, and that some other people could use this example to learn from. Yeah, ditch that sound, in my opinion. Anyway, get rid of it. Really cool, man. I think you've got a cool vibe going here. You've kind of nailed the aesthetic of what you're going for, and it works. I think, yeah, just this kind of intro bit, I've given my feedback about that, but I think that could be improved a bit. And yeah, work those chord stabs a bit to kind of, because when they come in, they're cool, but because they're so open and kind of in your face, they get a bit tiring. So having them, yeah, filtered out, and then it gives you the option to bring them back in again. You know, it just, yeah, I think it will help the balance of the track as well. Really good, man. Really nice vibe. I like it. Alright guys, I think I'm going to call it here. So thanks everyone for your submissions. Next time, let's try and get them in before the stream starts. That would be helpful for everyone. I'm sure it would make it more enjoyable to watch as well, if I'm not kind of messing around trying to check emails and download files. But anyway, great. Thanks everyone for sending them in. I know it's like can be a bit intimidating having people watch or listen to your tracks. So yeah, some really great stuff there. Hope I was able to give people some insight and some feedback. And like, remember, it's only my opinion. You know, it's your music. You, at the end of the day, you make the decisions about what you want. I'm just kind of like trying to give like an objective perspective on it. It's not, and oftentimes it's not about whether I like it personally. If I like it, I'll say I like it. But I'm trying to kind of give you some feedback about like how an A&R from a label or something is going to perceive it, or, you know, when I was saying, you know, they're just going to skip through it and they're going to go, you know, let's just use this for an example. They're going to go, then, you know, especially if it's a label that gets like, I think all labels get hundreds and thousands of demos. So, you know, you've got to have you kind of want to have it so that at any moment in the track they listen to, they're going to go like, ah, yeah, cool. You know, and that's going to be what then gets them to listen to the whole track, you know. Anyway, and then, you know, then say they go like, oh, I like that, I'm going to listen from the start. Then you want the intro to work properly and that kind of thing, you know. So it's, but you need, yeah, I hope that makes sense. Anyway guys, thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your holidays and all of that kind of thing. What's everyone doing for New Year's? We're in another kind of semi lockdown here in Germany, so all my gigs are gone, and they're kind of tightening restrictions, which is not cool. But anyway, hopefully you guys all have more luck in that regard than we are here, and yeah, have fun, have a dance for me. All right, peace.